Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights, another recap episode, 559 up through 578. I actually enjoyed these because it gives me a chance to reflect back, and I hope you do too. I don't know that you look forward to it, but I kind of do. Thanks sponsors, Topps, Panini, and Upper Deck, Heritage Auctions, Huggins Scott Auctions, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. I always try to include something in each segment for each of the sponsors. Not sure I always am successful about that, but that is my desire. 559 started on a very somber note. Very shocking. Ben Eckler, a friend and colleague, a really outstanding hobbyist and great mind and a great man too. A great family man, 6 kids. I went to his funeral, which was, I think, the same day the episode dropped. Saw a bunch of my old friends there. Again, he was pretty entrenched at Panini. Again, a very attended funeral. Unfortunately, it was the same day as the industry summit. A lovely funeral, great slideshow to see a guy that loved his family and is gone too soon. So I hope people remember there's actually a GoFundMe or something to help his kids. So encourage you to check into that. 559 was the outtakes. I got called up from some guys that I've known. In fact, Tony Fay, who used to work for me in PR, said, "Hey, how would you like to be on a podcast?" And I think it's professional courtesy. If you're a podcaster, you're on somebody else's, they're on yours. So this was the Dallas Sports Commission. Again, they come at it a little differently. So I captured the audio and released some of it to y'all for your listening pleasure. 559B was very sober on that theme of 7 existential hobby threats. Not that the world would end, but that the hobby as we know it would be unalterably changed if some of these things, pretty dire circumstances, and it just points out there are no sure things. I don't want to be a gloomy guy, but you just can't think that it's a sure thing. There's no way this can go down. There's any number of ways our society and sports and other macro things can affect our hobby that have nothing to do with Mickey Mantle's career statistics or popularity among fans. 560 was the recap. 561, the smaller card show episode with Brad Bethune, Texas Card Dude, and Rich Klein. Again, I'm wondering if they're going to be small shows in the future because all the small shows are now medium-sized shows and all the medium-sized shows are now bigger shows. But as Brad pointed out, whether it's a small show or a big show, promotion is important and you've got to get the word out and draw. So some good suggestions in there from Rich, especially. 562, outtakes on economics. That's Ben Wilson specialty about the cards, another podcast I enjoy with Steph and Angela there giving me moral support as I was battling somewhat with Ben. Ben's a really sharp guy, but he has some opinions and he's vocal about his opinions and enjoyed batting that around with him. Again, you can't break the laws of economics forever without it coming back to bite you. There are certain things about supply and demand that gradually work themselves out. As long as there's more collectors coming in and we have increased demand, that bodes well. 563, executive proofs with Tanner Jones. We cleared the air. We've been wanting to talk about that for a while. And just getting our definitions squared away. We're not talking about promos as much, not talking about blank backs or progressive proofs or other things like that, but really the executive proofs. Again, that was kind of part of the golden age of collecting when all of a sudden you had all these mass-produced base cards, but you had these really interesting inserts, some of which were executive proof versions, and for player collectors, they're tough. 564, the dueling questions about rookie cards, the RC dueling question. Victor's a serious guy, and I thought dueling questions about a topic. Victor's my man, so again, really enjoyed that. He's very into it. 564A, Upper Deck Hockey Box Battle. I'm approaching this in a way. I had 4 different boxes. I'm trying to be open-minded. I'm trying to approach it as I probably would if I were much younger. That I've got money to spend, $100, whatever it is, and I'm going to spend it on cards. It's like going to a restaurant. Which restaurant to go to, and then what are you going to order? The finest, best compliment I can give to a restaurant is to go back. And further, to go back and order the exact same thing. That's the highest compliment I can give the chef in the restaurant. And so it's the same thing with cards. I want to know, what should I buy? And do I want to buy some more? And that's what the card companies are hoping for too. 564B, the 7 listener questions. Yes. Again, I just accumulate them and just seems like putting them in a group of 7 allows for a couple minutes for each one. 565 dueling questions. Second round with Steve Grad, a radio media personality. And he's not just a great voice. He's got great credibility and again, enjoyed batting around. We're 2 veterans. I guess I'm more OG than he is, but we had a good time. 566 was the interview with Kyle Johnson, the ComC marketing manager. And again, just listen to the episode. He's excited about ComC. And I am too. I think 2022 is going to be a great year for the hobby, and I think COMC is going to be a good part of that. 567 was bulk buying and selling with Tanner Jones. We were comparing notes, and this was just my opportunity to talk with Tanner, whom I enjoy talking with. But I don't know if Tanner's done this, but in the last year, I got more active in buying in a little bit larger bulk. Again, I'm still trying to be a net seller, but in buying some more bulk lots, I've gotten way more aggressive on that in the auction and the shows. It's been fun for me. And net, I've got to be more aggressive in selling stuff. If somebody out there wants to help me, you probably need to live near here. But if somebody wants to help me, because I've got a large volume of lots that I'd like to put on eBay, and I just don't want to do it all by myself. I need some help. And I have one helper already, but I'm pretty sure I need another one. So if you've got some interest in doing that, let me know, drjamesbeckett@gmail.com. 568 was the Valenzuela episode with Victor. Gotten way more response from that than I thought. You might want to listen to that if you have any interest at all. Fernando Mania was a real thing back in 1981. And Victor was the perfect guy to do that with. He was a boy when it happened. I was a man when it happened, but it was the real deal. Fernando was a cultural icon for two cultures. 569 outtakes on education with Kyle from the Wax Museum. Kyle is a passionate educator and a passionate hobbyist, and really enjoy his podcast. I didn't realize when he was going to have me on, he was really just going to hammer the education stuff, but I've got an education background as well. 569A were the outtakes on having a co-op LCS. That was a brief discussion on Hobby Hotline. I'm going to go a little deeper with that. I'll probably do another episode on that because I've had some more questions about it. 569B, another 7 listener questions. Just listen to those. Hard to excerpt those. They're just 7 different questions. 570 was the basketball dueling questions with Adam Gray. Again, just doing basketball. Who better to do it with than Adam, although there's some other guys out there that I'll do some more basketball card dueling questions. But that was my second round with Adam, and I think we have a good rapport. Enjoyed it. Adam, keep up the great work with your magazine. 571 was Brad Bethune, the hobby hiatus. Rip Van Winkle woke up from a long nap and was confused and lost. I thought Brad was pretty vulnerable about sharing. If you're away for a while, like a decade, it's a pretty different hobby. 572, always great to do with Rich. 76 and 77 Topps Baseball. I don't think they're exciting sets, but they were all we had back then. Actually, we had some other little smaller sets sometimes, but 76 and 77, that was the main action for new cards in those days. 573, the Topps Tech Baseball. Again, very complicated. This is so unlike me. That's the first purchase I've made in a long time where I'm really just breaking even. I didn't expect to make money, but I enjoyed it. So I put a value on the enjoyment. Maybe some of y'all are experiencing that same thing. You're buying something that you're going to get enjoyment out. You're not necessarily going to be able to sell it for more. But I didn't make a mistake, but I usually try to buy things that I think are worth more than what I paid. 574, the interview with Sam Shuford, Women of the Hobby. I'd been on Hobby Hotline with her several times, but got to hear her origin story. And keep up the great work, Sam. I applaud your efforts, and I hope you have great success. It'd be wonderful to look up in a few years and have a higher percentage of women who are really enjoying. 574A was the continuation, the rest. Sam, I'm really trying to stay with 15-minute episodes, but Sam was worth a little extra there that I didn't want to just cut away and not provide it for y'all. 574B, outtakes on the early 80s from John Keating. He's all about the 70s. I didn't remember the 80s. I was just nose to the grindstone. The 70s, I had a life, I think, and I remember the pop culture stuff. So when he started getting into the 80s, I'm not firing blanks, but I'm strong on the hobby, but I missed most of the movies and music of the 80s. 575 was the retrospective, a little mini tribute to my awesome wife, Ode to Diane, and then talked about a little bit Tom Brady. She had a question about he's such a healthy athlete, his longevity. He's increasingly being recognized as a GOAT or the GOAT. And our hobby is taking note of that and investing in these athletes that have a chance to have the really long, outstanding careers. And I think that's a legit question. 576 was the second part of the interview with Bob Brill. Just want to say, Bob was a personal friend of Rich and myself. And I'm putting your card, Bob, on my wall. I have one of your cards from a long time ago, not as a player, but it's a vanity card. But I get my BGS friends to slab it, and I'm going to put it on the wall under B. 577 were the what ifs about my heart attack, realizing that it was exactly 25 years ago. And what if I died? And I'd looked at that in different ways almost 2 years ago now when I first addressed that. And some of y'all remember that. But I really got into what would be different. I'd already done price guide stuff, but BGS was still on the drawing board. And I think that is something that I just wanted to contemplate. How might BGS be different if I had died in 96 and not been miraculously brought back, which I'm very thankful for. A 578 were the outtakes on the Industry Summit from Hobby Hotline. That was just really the weekend after that. And so it was fresh. It seemed to be a very successful summit. And you got to be careful what you promise. I said, I made a mistake. I should have been there, except that my father-in-law was having a birthday during that time and I was obligated to do that. Well, he's the awesome dad of my awesome wife. So I wanted to be there and I thought, I'm going to be there next year again. I look, they've changed the date. Now the date conflicts with my wife's birthday. Ted Barker, you're going to put on a great event. I don't think I'm going to be there because I'm not going to be in Vegas. I'm going to be in Dallas or wherever my wife wants me. I'm going to be by her side. So I am so sorry. I'm not going to be able to fulfill that promise, but I know it'll be a great summit. So that's it. And thanks everybody. Enjoy the episodes and keep your suggestions coming in and we'll keep doing this.